How many of you believe that really a lot of selling is just the mental aspect of just attacking it every day? Now, when I was a basketball coach, I had a rule. I wanted to get the ball to the midline in 2.3 seconds. So in essence, when the other team scored, we actually practiced how fast we took it out of the net, how fast we pitched ahead, how fast we pushed the intensity, because I always believed that the best defense was a great offense. And if I could play offense, then we could win a lot more games. Well, offense in your business is just getting real clear on one thing. This ain't going to happen unless you make it happen. People are not magically going to show up at your door to do business with you. This is a dogfight. Let's be clear about this. There's lots of competition. Most of y'all are in very saturated markets where there's a lot of people competing. And if you don't get in there and go to battle every day, man, you're whipped. Okay? Why did Grover write Relentless after working with Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade? Because Grover and I are good friends. He's like, man, you have never met people as relentless as these people. Just their pure drive to get up and go get it every day. And to do the monotonous. To come in 4 hours before practice every day. And do these really, really big things is real important. So, step one, we got to activate that prey drive. Now, we're about to move into the explanation of service. But before we do, there's an exercise I have a lot of people do that I talked about with the Colton group yesterday called A to B. And man, this is so critical. This is where you currently are in life. You are at A. A is your current position. Everything you don't like about where you currently are. You're frustrated by this. This is not working the way it should. This is your lot in life right here. This is your ideal situation. Your company is making this much money. You personally are making this much money. Your passive income is greater than your living expenses. You work 4 days a week. You get vacation when you want to. Money is no problem for you. Whatever it is that you got. This is B. Every move you make in between A and B is either a low value of time, low value activity, or a high value activity. Okay? This has to be tangible. You're trying to drive a certain number. You're trying to hit something. Then this becomes very easy. So when people tell me they have a time management problem, I say, you don't have a time management problem. You got a confusion of priority. That make sense? If I'm here and my B is to get to a certain number, then this is real simple. The highest value of my time is any activity I do that moves me toward that number. The lowest value of my time is any activity I do that has nothing to do with me hitting that number. Okay? If I tell you I want to build a greatness factory in Nashville, and that's one of my B's. If I tell you I want to get my company to $10 million of revenue. If I tell you I want to have 1,000 people in my coaching program. If I tell you I want to write a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Those are all B. When I wake up in the morning, I have a choice. Do I take action toward B? Or do I get distracted? The word distract means to pull apart. Do I get distracted by all the noise in the world that can keep me away from doing it? It is so easy for salespeople to get distracted away from what they should be doing, which is money-producing activity. Okay? So I want you to take a second right now, and I want to ask a real simple question. What is your B? Now, I have on my Remarkable a folder for nothing but B. Okay? So I have a whole folder, and in that folder, I have a folder called B, and it's this exercise. Okay? And I have done this exercise now 71 times in the last 30-something days. Now, why would I do that? Why would I do it over and over and over? So basically what I do is I draw it up, and I write it out into pictures. Okay? And anytime I'm on a plane, I'll just sit there and go A to B, A to B. I'm currently at A. This is what I hate. How many of you are doing something right now that you hate doing in your business? And I'm like, man, how do I solve this problem right here? I hate doing this. Then I write down love, hate. Then I write down passive income strategies. Then I write down, anything that's attached to my B, I just do it over and over and over and over and over and over. You say, well, why would I do that? Because I'm basically programming it in the subconscious mind. And I'm going, this is where I'm at. These are things I don't like. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. Now, for every person in the room, at some point in your life, passive income is going to be on that list. Would you agree? So there's active income, where you put a unit of time in and you get a unit of money back. But at some point, just a matter of time, if you're not there yet, you're going to get to a point, it's like, how do I create passive income where my passive income is greater than my living expenses? Okay? Now, that's only going to come from a couple different ways, folks. It's going to come from making enough money in your current business, taking some of that money and putting it into something that can make money for you. It's going to come from owning things that operate on your behalf. It's going to come from leverage of teams. It's going to come from something. Okay? Now you take his EXP team, because I'm coaching Jay Kinder and Albie Stasic. If you got 8,000 people in their downline, these guys are making $400,000 or $500,000 a month in passive income. A month. And they ain't selling real estate. They're just recruiting people and coaching people. That's passive. That means 8,000 little troops get up every day and go to work on their behalf. Okay? That is passive income. So if one of your B's is passive income, then you got to do something. You either got to make enough money to have some money left over to invest in something, or you got to start figuring out, how do I move toward this? Now, I'm coaching in the mortgage business. He don't really like mortgages, but he's making about $2 million a year. He's taking a lot of that money and he's just investing it in other things. Okay, that can make him more money. Okay, and there may be a cycle of time that he does that, especially right now. He may do that for a period of time to where he's got enough money that he gets passive income. He can say, man, I'm finished. I don't have to do anything. But this is a guy doing $150 million of production too. So you got to get your sales numbers up. Okay, this is a formula you got to get right. For you to ever become wealthy, you've got to learn to sell something. Would you agree? And you got to take the money of something you sold and you got to be able to put it into something. So, I don't know what your A to B is, but I want you to take a second right now and write down where you currently are, all the things you currently hate about your current position or dislike. And then I want you to put down what you think your B is, which is your desired outcome of where you're trying to get to. Where are you trying to get to? That would be your B. Okay, now let me ask you a question. How many of you are doing activities every day that's got absolutely nothing to do with getting you toward that B? B is some big goal, some big dream, some big something you're trying to drive. Okay, so a high value of your time is moving toward your B every single day. Okay, so what I find that we do is we wake up and we don't do this exercise enough, so we just are going through the motions. B, it should pull me toward it. And if it's not big enough, you're not going to be excited about it. You're not going to put any energy into it. You're not going to put any force into it. You're not going to put any, there needs to be something. When you study the psychology of what motivates people, progress towards something is a motivator. When you feel stuck, static, bored, in a rut, there's no enthusiasm, there's no purpose, there's no dream, then what happens is you just kind of go through the motions and you move to a static position. So think of energy as dynamic. I'm moving, growing, moving towards something. I'm static, I'm stuck, bored, complacent, in a rut, or I'm entropic, which is disintegration. Okay? What pulls you towards something is a big B. Man, I got a big goal. I got big things I'm doing. They get me excited, and that activates and reactivates my prey drive. Okay? For a company, the company has a B, which is a tangible outcome you're trying to drive. We're trying to do X number of loans. We're trying to sell X number of houses. We're trying to do X number of auctions. It is a tangible outcome you are trying to drive. What's the difference between high value and low value? High value is what? That's right. Money generating activity. Moves you toward your B. Low value activity is what? Any activity you participate in during the day that has nothing to do with moving you from A to B. Okay? All right, now let's get into the explanation of value. Here is my mindset on selling. So I like to take everything that's complicated and make it simple. Money changes hands when problems are solved. That's it. So how many people have problems? Everybody. But okay. How do I know to call you to solve my problem when I could call so many people? See, this is why person of interest is so critical. This is why being known is so critical. This is why being in front of people all the time is so critical. Because I'm going to call the one person that I think can solve the problem for me better than anybody else. Or I'm going to call the first person I think of. For all the real estate people, stats say 67% of people use the very first person that contacts them. They don't use the best one. They don't use the most experienced one. They use the first one. Which is why it's a full contact sport. Constantly staying in front of people's minds. But the only reason I'm calling you is because I have a problem. Okay? When I had a house before I was married, I had this beautiful kind of bachelor pad, had swimming pool and pool house, and then I got married, and not long after that, my wife said, this house is beautiful, but it's not made for a family. Now I got a problem. Okay, so we got to go find another house, which means we got to sell the house we got, so I need a real estate agent to sell it. Then I got to do a new house, which means I need a mortgage originator to finance it. Now the question becomes, when I have that problem, who do I call? I'm going to call the very first person that occupies the most brain space in my mind that can solve that problem. Okay? But it all started and originated because I had a problem. If you can solve problems for people, you're going to make up more money. The bigger the problem, the more money people pay to solve that problem. And that is the difference between a bluegill and a blue marlin. Bluegill, small fish, small money. Blue marlin, big fish, big money. It's really solving the same problem. I was watching $1 Million Listing on the plane ride back from somewhere, LA, and there was a builder there that was selling a house in California for $75 million. But he had $500 million in his portfolio, and he told the real estate agent, it's all or nothing. Either you prove to me you can handle this, and if you can handle this, I'm going to give you all $500 million of it. Okay? Now think about the commission to her. to solve that problem. Here's what he said. You're not going to sell my house. I sell my own houses. All you're going to do is open up the door. And she argued with him on the show. Now, if you told me I could make $10 million by opening the door, I'd say, sure, that's what you want to do, right? Like she argued with the guy and said, I don't understand. Like, you show your own houses? Like, why would you show your own houses? And he's like, I just want you to market the property and open the door up when people come. That's all I want you to do, because you don't understand how this is built. I understand. I built it. I know every intricate detail of this house. So he was saying, if you get it right, man, you're going to represent me on $500 million. Now, is that the same thing as selling a $279,000 house? It's still the same problem. You still got a house. You still need to sell it. It's just solving a bigger problem. Everybody see that? Money changes hands when problems are solved. So you go out into the marketplace and you say one thing, what's the problems, man? What are the problems that everybody has, okay? So number 2, we use our skill to solve their problem. Okay, now I want to show you this because a lot of people are not real clear about this. This is called the fundamental relationship. And the fundamental relationship basically looks like this. The relationship is between your talent and my problem. You have some unique talent. It is very specialized. So think like Navy SEAL, Special Forces. You have a very special skill set. That skill set is used to solve my problem. Okay? And at the exchange of your solution for my problem is where money is exchanged. What if you don't know what your unique skill set is? See, most of you may be trying to sell a product. You're trying to sell a service. What I would try to get you to focus on is sell a solution to a problem. Don't sell a product. Here's my problem. Can you solve it? Yes. How much does it cost me for you to solve it? Okay, somebody was asking me yesterday how much it costs to mow the grass out here at the lodge, right? And who mowed my grass out here? And there's one woman that mows it, $600 a week. So it's $2,400 a month just to mow the grass here. Now, here's the deal. I could mow the grass, but is it really that valuable for me to spend all day mowing the grass versus going out and selling something? No, she solves a problem for me. So we exchanged the $2,400 for her to mow the grass, right? Now, to her benefit, she came to us and she said, there's other problems I can solve for you, Coach. She said, see that barn down here? We can paint that, make it look prettier. We can clean out the koi pond and get you koi in there. We can clean out the gutters. Like, to her credit, she didn't only mow the grass. She kept saying, here's another problem we can solve. Here's another problem we can solve. Here's another problem we can solve. And why wouldn't we solve them? Right? If she can solve those problems for us, why wouldn't we just let her solve them and exchange money? So what is your key skill? You're selling a very specific skill. Like, I know how to take things that are real complicated and make them real simple. That is a very specific skill. You're solving a problem. What's my problem? My problem is X, Y, and Z. Man, can you solve that problem for me? Okay, now if you don't know the fundamental relationship, then you're kind of just stuck out there selling a commodity. Okay, you're selling a commodity. Specialist, generalist. Which one makes more money? Now, once I know what my primary skill is, then I have a use of that primary skill to solve a problem. This is how I go out into the marketplace. I want you to notice this formula. I initiate conversations. That's outbound effort. So I pick up the phone and I call people. And I typically ask some question to disarm people. Meaning I ask them, where do you live in the country? Well, I live in San Antonio. Well, I live in Virginia. Well, I live in Texas. Well, I live wherever. And I typically try to connect to people. That's disarming. Throughout the conversation, I am trying to do one thing. Locate a problem. So the way I locate a problem when I'm selling people is I ask them a simple question. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to sell this property and get rid of this, take the money and put it into something else. Okay, great. Once I know the problem, now, like a doctor, I can make a recommendation. Here's what you need to do. Here's my recommendation on how you need to do it. Here's my strategy I would use to help you. Because now I know what the problem is. For some of you, you already know what the problems are. It's just a matter of how do you convince a person you can solve the problem. And then step number 4 is I push them to something in the future. It's not always selling them something, guys. Sometimes it is merely sending them something. You know what? I'm going to send you a video. I'm going to send you a breakdown of how I did this. I want you to watch that video. I'm going to follow back up with you. Okay? You always push people to something in the future. Always push them to something in the future. So I initiate, I disarm, I locate, I push to something in the future. Where do you think most people struggle in this cycle? They don't what? They don't even initiate. Initiate means an outbound effort. It means you pick up the phone and call people. Who can you call? Current clients, past clients, strategic partners, people you can help with your services. Hey, I got an idea. Man, would you like to do this together? Would you like to do this together? Would you like to do this together? You're presenting an idea to another person. That puts you in front of people. Okay? Now, once you get in front of people and you know your skill set and you know what problems you can solve, and what if you can't solve them? Now, this is very important what I'm about to tell you. I had a guy 5 years ago in New York City, Steve Carlos at 2 Market Media, one of my partners, said to me, you should be in the affiliate game. You can make a fortune in the affiliate game. Okay? And I didn't listen to him, didn't understand. An affiliate is when I can't solve your problem, but Bobby can. And I introduce you to Bobby, and I get a commission back to me. Everybody see that? You're going to go to somebody. You got a clear problem. Why don't I introduce you to a trusted partner, and why don't I get a commission back? So I now have X number of affiliates around the country that my goal is to make at least $250,000 a year out of each affiliate. And all I'm doing is introducing people to other people who can help them. Everybody understand that? So I was stubborn for like 5 years and didn't listen to him. Then I'm like, dang, why am I not doing this? Because if I can't solve Ricky's problem, he's going to get off the phone with me and call somebody who can solve it. Why not just form partnerships with all the people, with all the problems I hear people have? And say, oh, man, I can introduce you to so-and-so. They could be happy to help you. Right? And I feed them business, and they feed me business, and we help each other. Right? Imagine making $1 million a year just in introductions with people. How many of y'all are introducing people to people right now and you don't get any money? You don't get anything back in return. Okay? That could be an affiliate of yours. And you go to them and say, look, man, I want to form an affiliate partnership with you. I'm going to send you a bunch of business. I'd just like to get a little something back to me. And most people go, sure, I'd be happy to give you something. And typical standard fees, 20 to 30%. 20 to 30% back, because you're basically replacing the salesperson. Okay? So there's all kinds of ways to make money when you understand the way you make money is by doing what? Solving a problem. If one of you auctioneers came to me and said, look, I know you love this lodge, man, but I could auction off and get you $4 million for it, I would at least consider it. I'd have to sell my wife on it. But if you told me you could auction it and make $4 million and I bought it for $1.3 million, I would at least hear it. Because you everybody with me? When we bought our house in Florida, the real estate agent told me we could turn around and sell it within an hour for $800,000 more. Within an hour of buying it. Okay, literally. And I looked at my wife and I'm like, she's like, don't even talk to me about this. I'm like, we got a chance to make $800,000 in an hour. For the love of God here. You'll love another house. But my point is, depending on how big the problem is, man, on how much money you make. If you solve small problems, you're going to make small money. Everybody understand that? If you're a real estate agent, representing people buying $279,000 homes and you sell 12 of them, you ain't going to make any money. You got to solve bigger, juicier problems. Or you got to solve it in bulk. Okay? Now, once you go out and initiate and get in front of people, What do you say? Okay, and this is what we're going to get into right now. And this is very, very important, because I believe having something to say is just as important as having somebody to say it to. Okay, if we put people on the phone making outbound calls all day long and they made 100 phone calls, but they weren't any good on the phone and they didn't have something valuable to say, then it wouldn't matter if they made 1,000 phone calls. Would you agree? There are salespeople that make phone calls all day long and don't sell anything. So we teach something called the explanation of service. Now, this is a formula. And that formula is something we got to work through. This is going to give you something valuable to say. And it starts by answering a simple question. And we're actually going to practice this right now, because I'm going to show you how we typically screw this up. Okay? I want you to look at the person beside you and I want you to ask them a simple question. What do you do for a living? And I want you to see what they say. Ask them that question. What do you do for a living?
Pictures I'm sending you?
Yeah, I'm going to post them in just a minute. All right. Okay. All right. How many of you, okay? All right. So how many of you, when people, this is the number one question people are going to ask you, by the way, when they meet you. Outside of when they meet you, where are you from? They're going to ask you what? What do you do? What do you do? Which is the biggest trap in the world. This is where you trap yourself. I'm an auctioneer. Okay, what if I don't need an auctioneer? What if I knew one auctioneer that was a bozo? What if you say, I'm a mortgage originator? And I go, okay, great. I've already got a mortgage originator. I'm a real estate agent. Or a common thing, realtor. Okay, how many realtors are there in the country? See, the worst thing you can do is put your own self in a commodity trap, which is what most people do. Okay? Now, so you say, how do you decommoditize yourself? Okay? The way you answer the question is really important. When you meet a person, what do you do? I always typically say, well, I used to be a high school championship basketball coach, but I retired from that. And then they're like trying to figure out how old I am. They're like, retired? Well, what do you do now? And I'm like, well, before I tell you what I do, let me tell you what I believe. I believe everybody needs a good coach in their life. Have you ever had a good coach? And they're like, oh, yeah. So you do know the power of having a coach in your life, don't you? Oh, yeah. I said, well, what I really do is take real complicated business growth and I break it down and make it simple. Okay? And I help people typically get a 30 or 40% increase in their business. Okay? And I do that through a number of coaching programs that I have. Right? And I kind of open up that conversation on what I believe, right? What I do. I'm kind of working through a formula here. Okay? If you just commoditize your own self, you are so much more than a person that just does a mortgage or just sells a house or just auctions. Like you have you're a specialist. You have a very special skill set. That is very valuable. Okay? You solve big problems in the world. So this formula helps you to understand. If I said, what do? You say, well, before I tell you what I do, let me tell you what I believe. I believe this. Okay, for the health coaches in the room, I believe there's a what's called a gradient relationship between health and wealth. The healthiest people are the wealthiest people. Healthy people live 25% longer lives. They make 74% more money than unhealthy people do, right? Because of that belief, I really chose to go into a business where I help people. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy finances. That's so much better than saying I'm a health coach. Everybody understand it? Because if you're just a health coach, well, it's like, oh, well, great. I don't need a health coach. I weighed 30 more pounds than I do right now and thought I was 100% healthy. I'm sitting in Houston, Texas, and my doctor's like, you need to get on the program. At dinner. I'm like, what? I had a chubby face. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm healthy. He's like, you ain't as healthy as you think you are. Trust me. He said that to me. Like, if he wouldn't have been my doctor, it would probably been offensive. But I'm so glad he said that to me, man. And so I went in and did my blood work, and every one of my levels were off. My thyroid was low, my cortisol was low, my testosterone was low, everything was low. He's like, man, I can't even believe how low you are in all this stuff. And you're out there doing all this stuff. He's like, this is crazy. He said, 10 years from today, you're going to walk in and you're going to quit everything. You keep going at the pace you're going. When I say burnout, you're going to burn out like you can't imagine. And you're not going to have any drive to do anything if you don't take care of this. Right? And I'm like, boom. So I lost 30 pounds. I got in better shape, took my vitamins. Why? Because that was like a wake-up call for me, right? Here's what he believes. He believes most people are going down the highway of health in the wrong direction, and they need to do a 180 in their health. We believe in getting people on a path to health and wellness minus the use of pharmaceutical drugs. That is the exact EOS we came up for him. We believe in getting people on a path to health and wellness minus the use of pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, that's his belief statement. Because of that belief, we have one of the top wellness centers in the world that goes to work on these parts, right? And he had all these beliefs, so we basically helped him come up with a great explanation of service. Okay, so there's two ways to answer this question. What do you do? I help people do this. I work with high net worth people to raise millions of dollars for some of the top charities in the world. I happen to do that as a benefit auctioneer. Does that make sense? Because I believe this, and this. That is a way to decommoditize yourself. Okay? Mortgage people, what do you help people do? I help people match dreams and addresses. I believe there's a difference between a house and a home. A house is made up of sticks and bricks, and a home is made up of memories. I help people find their dream home or get into there. I help finance their dream home. I help people do this. Okay? I'm not just a mortgage originator. Not because it's a bad thing. It's because there's so many of them out there. You don't want to put yourself in that box. I'm a specialist at this. Okay? So I want you thinking, okay, how do you step out of this commodity trap? Okay, this is the problem with coaching. If you're a coach, is that, man, there's so many coaches in the world. When you say you're a coach, like when I'm on planes and I don't want to talk to people, when they ask me what I do, I go, I'm a life coach. And that just ends the conversation right there. They're like, I don't need a life coach. I'm like, well, good. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Right? Because that's how people think. I'm good. I don't need what you do. If I do want to talk to people, I'm like, man, let me tell you what I believe. I believe this, this, and this. Because of those beliefs, I devoted 30 years of my life to helping people activate something deep inside of them. I refer to that as prey drive. Everybody see that? Now I'm telling a story versus boom. So the EOS start with what you believe. What do you really believe? What do you believe at your core? Your core value. See, a lot of people think core values trust, honesty, integrity, and they are core values, but I believe in coming in early and staying late. I believe when a man asks you to go 1 mile, you go 2. I believe in always over-delivering in what you promise. See how clear I am in what I believe? I believe in attracting business versus chasing it. I believe in going 7 touches in the follow-up. I believe the people get the most attention, get the most leads. See how many, I have trained my brain. I've got thousands of beliefs. Okay? I believe there's a hard way and an easy way. Right? Like there's a lot of things I believe. So when I'm with people, I can pivot to my belief. If I'm with blue-collar workers, here's what I say, man, I believe our country is built on the back of blue-collar workers, people that are willing to do jobs some people ain't willing to do. If I'm with operations people, I can say, man, I believe the single greatest advantage a company can have is in its operations unit. Because those are the people that deliver on the promise. When I'm with salespeople, I believe there is no bottom line unless there's a top line. I believe revenue drives everything. You should be selling something every day. I believe in prospecting 2 hours a day. See, I could sit here and go, we could literally do this for 6 or 7 hours. Okay? Once you're clear on what you believe, what's going to happen? You're going to attract other people that believe the same things you do. People do business with other people that believe the same things they do. Everybody see that? Okay? So you need to first get clear on what you believe. Why do you believe this? That's the second part. And we're going to call that part a story of origin. Something happened in your life that caused you to have a big revelation about something. It's a moment in your life where it's like, this is why I believe this. Okay? This is why I believe this. Okay? All of the conflict you have in your life, by the way, is going to happen when two people don't believe the same things. That's where conflict comes from. I have a belief, and you have a belief. When your belief is different than mine, how you handle that is a potential for conflict. Would you agree? Okay, so I'm clear. This is what I believe. This is what I don't believe. This is why I believe it. Okay? Because of that belief, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what I do. This is what I've devoted my whole life to. Because I have these beliefs. This is what we do. Okay, so let's take the health coaching. I believe there's a direct relationship between health and wealth. I believe the healthiest people are the wealthiest people. I believe healthy people live 74% more lives, make 25% more money. Because of that, let me tell you why I believe this. I wasn't healthy. I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't have any confidence. And I made a simple decision. That word means to kill off. I made a simple decision to get on the path to health and wellness, minus use of pharmaceutical drugs. When I made that decision, let me tell you what I did. Boom. This is what happened. That would be called a story of what? Origin. This is why I believe this. Okay? Because of that belief, here's what we're going to do. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? For the auctioneers in the room, Jay Cash says, I believe the selling a house should not become, that's American dream should not become the American nightmare. That's his first belief. Because of that belief, we do this, 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 and this. It's a very strong statement. Okay? I believe selling your house should be a dream, not a nightmare, right? Now, here's the deal. Fourth, tell me how you do it different than other people. What makes you different? What makes you different than your competitors? What is your differential advantage here? Fifth, give me success stories or examples of people you have worked with. This is called credibility indicators. Like you need to tell me, who have you worked with? What success have you had? Give me credibility indicators, okay? And then finally, you need to ask me a simple question. If I could do this for you, like I have done it for other people. Okay, now Tammy, you just saw me in Orlando, right? Last week. Got to give her a hand, man. She saw me last week, took action. Next thing she knows, she's here in Tennessee. Y'all give her a hand for making a commitment like that. So, I helped a real estate agent, Tammy, go from doing 48 deals a year. He'd never made more than $80,000 in a year to on track to do 300 deals this year. He's now making sometimes close to $80,000 a month. Completely changed his life. Somehow he was able to pick up a good-looking wife out of this equation too. Now he's got a lot more money. And the dude doesn't even like selling real estate. But he loves coaching people. So he's built a team out to where he has 18 people on his team. They're mostly 18 to 22 years old. They are rough and unpolished. They are not college educated. And he goes in every day and coaches those kids like they're his own kids. When they get in trouble, gets them in line. He coaches them every day. And that is how he has increased his real estate business from 48 deals a year to 300 deals a year, because they make 40 to 80 phone calls a day out of those 18 to 22-year-old people. Okay? Now, if I could do that for you, like I have done that for him, would you be interested in talking about what we did there? Okay. See how I just asked that question? What part of the EOS did I just use? Number 5. I told a story. Then I said what we did. Then I said success indicator. See, once you know this, you can bounce around. I didn't use the whole EOS right there. But here, if I did have an EOS for that, here's what I'd say. I believe most real estate agents, if they stay at it alone, can only get to 48 to 50 deals without killing themselves. I believe at some point you're going to want a team of people working with you if you're ever going to do anything big. Because of that belief, let me show you exactly what we did with this one dude who decided to become a person of interest. Here's his business model. Here's what we did. Here's the results that he got. Now, if I could help you do that in your business, would you just be open to talking about that? That's part number 6. I made an ask right there. Okay? If I were able to auction off this property and do it in a day, and that money hits your bank account in this time period, what would stop us from signing up right now and getting started? See, this is where a lot of people struggle. Would you agree at the very end? The ask. The ask is, hey, you're here. I've told you what we do. I've told you how we do it. Told you how we even do it different than everybody else. Now, you tell me, is this something you're interested in, yes or no? Would you like to get started? On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? See, this is the 6th part is very important to this equation. Okay, is I make an ask. Okay, so I want you to take a few minutes. I want you to work through this formula. And let me tell you why. I could put you in on videos. See, today it's real popular to do videos, Facebook videos, webinars, podcasts. But if I put you in front of that camera and you don't have anything valuable to say and you don't have a framework, then you're just going to be all over the place. You need to be able to say, hey, I'm Coach Burt. Man, I got a belief everybody needs a good coach in life. I think a good coach can change your life. Today I'm going to be talking about this one concept, right? Now, let me tell you why this is different than when I talked about it last or what we're going to be doing. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this, I want you to go to this link, and I want you to take action on this. What I'm doing is I'm working through a formula. Okay? Now, let's go to a sales pitch. It's you and a real estate agent. And they've been pitched, everybody. I'm a mortgage originator. How many times do real estate agents get hit on by mortgage originators? Every day. Thousands of times. You got to be able to sit across from a person and look them in the eye. After you've initiated and disarmed, you got to be able to say, look, at Colton Mortgage, this is what we believe. And this is why we believe this. And this is what we do. And this is how we do it different than everybody else that's out there. And these are people we have done it for. Now, if we could do this for you like we have done it for them, what would stop us from moving forward? At least giving me one deal to work on. Everybody see that? That's a whole lot better than saying speed and rate. These are all commodities, man. This is what every mortgage company says. We can do it faster, we can do it quicker, we can do it better, we got happier people, whatever. We've all heard that before. The reason I do business with people is I look them right in the eye and I'm saying, man, what do you believe? This is what we believe. This is why we believe it. Okay, good. You and I believe the same things. Okay, if we believe the same things, then I'm going to move towards you. Okay? If it's a commodity, I can get the commodity anywhere. Everybody see that? So I want you to take a few minutes. I want you to work through this formula. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? Most people do a great job on the belief statements and then they fall off the wagon. So they got 3 good beliefs, and I'm like, that's good. What do you do? How many of you answered a minute ago when they asked you what you do as a commodity? How many of you answered a commoditized answer? This is what I do. Okay? You're not a commodity. You are a specialist. Okay? That's why I say I'm always looking for Navy SEALs, not baby SEALs. Okay? So take a minute and work through this formula right here. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? What do you do? So who wants to be in the hot seat with me? Okay? All right. What do you believe?
I believe every real estate agent should have.
Okay, we got to give you a microphone. We got some online members.
I believe every real estate agent should have a mentor that helps them reach their production goals, and then that mentor helps them to earn financial and time freedom.
Okay, good. Now, let me ask you a question. When you're dealing with people, we've talked about this with his team, there's a bluegill conversation. If you're talking to a real estate agent doing 10 to 20 deals a year, and you start talking to them about time and money freedom, what are they thinking?
I'm just trying to make them more experienced.
That's right. So there's such a significant gap that they can't even get their mind around time and money freedom yet. So I call it the difference between a bluegill conversation and a blue marlin conversation. Now, if you're talking to a real estate agent doing 48 deals a year, and they're at a max, and they're working 80 hours a week, and they're exhausted, they're like, oh, I get it. I'm looking for some passive income somehow. I'm looking for time and money freedom. Right? So there's a difference in that belief statement, but those are both good beliefs, okay? All right, keep going.
Number two is I struggled for many years. So my reason why is I struggled for many years without getting the help I needed to reach my financial goals and levels of production that I needed to fully support my family. And once I found that mentor that helped me reach those goals, I find it to be an obligation for me to help others.
I like that. I like the fact that he said, I found it to be an obligation now that I figured this out to help other people. Okay? So I got a belief. I got a story of origin. I've got an action of what I do as a result of my beliefs. Okay? Now, does a story of origin need to be touch an emotional chord? Yes or no? Yeah. If you ever hear me talk about why I believe everybody needs a coach in life, I always say I was raised by a single mom. She had me when she was 16 years old. She used to take me down to the local baseball field where one woman named Mickey Vincent said to me when I was 6 years old, son, one of these days when you grow up, you're going to be a great coach. Right? Because of that, and I observed great coaches. I observed how coaches helped other people. I watched those coaches tend to other people's kids. I had a big revelation. When I grow up, I want to be a coach. That's a story of origin. Everybody see that? Because of that belief, we're doing this. Okay? Good. Now, are you using that actively?
A little bit.
Okay.
I begin to practice with it because I'm kind of new to this.
Let's say you don't have time to use all of it. Okay, I want you to write these 3 steps down if you can't use the whole thing. Number 1, just give me your belief. Number 2, give me an example of what you do. I routinely help people like you do this, or people do this. An example. Then a call to action. If I could do this for you, like I have done it for other people, what would stop us from at least going to round 2? Now, it's very important when it comes to recruiting. For my recruiters in the room, you don't want to recruit people who don't believe the same things you do. Okay? So when people say, well, what do you ask people? When I'm interviewing people, here's what I ask. What's the last 3 books you've read? Tell me a little bit about your morning routine. What's the biggest conflict you've ever fought through in your life? What's the biggest adversity you've ever had? What podcast do you listen to? Right? Now, why would I be asking those questions? What's your stance on when you have conflict? How do you handle that conflict? Do you have a model that you use? What's your idea of hard work? What time do you typically start your workday? What am I trying to figure out?
If you guys are alike.
Do we believe the same things? And if we don't believe the same things, he always like to say this, if I believe in coming in early and staying late, you believe in showing up late and leaving early, we're going to have a problem in the first couple of days, right or wrong? Okay? So I'm not saying you can't work hard if you come in later. I knew a guy who worked in Nashville that went in later to avoid traffic in the morning, started his work day at like 10, but he also worked till 7. Just because he started late didn't mean he wasn't a hard worker. You follow what I'm saying? So my point is, what I'm trying to figure out is real conflict happens when 2 people don't believe the same things. You take your worst client that you have right now, the one that when you even see their name on your phone, it makes you cringe. You got one of those? I guarantee you don't believe the same things. See, a lot of times I deal with conflict every day because I coach so many people. And this one wants to quit, and this one wants to cancel, and this one wants a refund, and this one don't like this, and this one didn't like something I said in a Facebook video. Somebody got mad when I got a jet. They were mad at me because I had a jet. Like, it's crazy. The low-level things I hear people complain about during the day is so ridiculous. But it's really an indicator that we don't believe the same things. Because I don't complain about those things. Does that make sense? And when I have conflict, I just go to the person and I say, hey, it ain't quite working the way I thought it was going to. How can we work this out? That's how I handle conflict. Everybody see that? I don't whine. I don't pout. I don't act a fool. I don't ask for all my money back to something I committed to. You understand where I'm going with this? What that's really indicating to me when they do those things is, man, we probably don't need to be working with each other because we don't believe the same things. Everybody see that? Okay, so your best customers right now, think about your best customers that value you the most, that you appreciate. There's a great value exchange. What it really means is you guys kind of line up on what you believe. Yes?
So, work this all out, have it all done. You know, I'm all okay now. We got to repeat it. Whatever how many other people we've coached do to write it out, carry it with them.
Yeah.
What's their steps they take?
Yeah, great question. The question for the online members is, what do you do to memorize it? Here, the person that I learned this from, we basically memorized it in the beginning. You literally memorize what you believe, right? Then over a cycle of time, all I'm using is really a framework. Now I'm just using a framework. And I'm breaking that framework down in different settings based on, hey, this is what we believe. This is why we're handling it this way. This is, right, like once you really learn the framework, then you won't have to worry about memorizing because it's really what you believe. It's really just packaging up what you believe. Okay? But early on, there's a cycle of literally memorizing it. Now, if you talk to people on the phone, so let's say for all my mortgage originators, phone's ringing all day long. Boom, boom, boom. Jim, what do they want to know when they get on that phone? Let's say they call in on a lead that you've purchased. What do they want to know?
The borrower?
Yeah.
The borrower want to know?
Yeah.
They want to know, why did I get this letter? What's
Okay.
this letter all about? The mailer? What's it all about?
Okay.
Are you wanting me to refinance? They start asking questions if you allow them to. If you don't set the framework for the call.
Okay. So how would you use this in one of those calls?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So how you typically start the call out is exactly like this. Once you explain your explanation of services to them and control the phone call, you're taking them where you want it to go.
Yeah.
And keeping them. The only thing a borrower for mortgage originators, and I would say this is most people that call in on lead, they only know a little bit, so they only have one or two things to ask.
Right.
Which is typically rate and cost.
Yep.
And so those are the things we don't want to talk about.
Right. So here's what I do. I initiate the conversation. Man, I'm so glad you called. Thank you for calling Colton Mortgage. We appreciate. What part of the country do you live in? I build rapport with people. Oh, I'm in Indiana. Okay. What's the purpose of the call? Oh, I got this letter talking about this. Can you help me? I'm glad you asked that question. And I work through it. Then at some point in that call, I say, man, at Colton, we believe this. Because of that belief, this is what we do. Okay, this is how we do it a little bit different than other people. And if we could do that for you, does that sound good to you? Seems like this is a good thing that you'd like to do, right? And I just sit there and I work through this formula. Now, I may not work through the whole formula. Now, why would I get that belief statement in there? Because people do business with other people that what? Believe the same things they do. When you guys went down to vote for president the last time you voted for president, did you vote for somebody who believed the same things you did? You didn't go down there and say, hey, I'm going to vote for the person who believes the exact opposite as me. Right? You move toward people who believe the same things you do. It's that simple. No matter what your beliefs are. Okay? You gravitate toward those people. That's called affinity. So until we get this right, I could put you on the phone with 1,000 people a day. I could put you in front of 1,000 people a day. I could put you on Facebook and social media and podcasts, but you don't have anything to say. How many of you have ever seen a person show up? I've seen this a lot with mortgage people, real estate agents. Mortgage company buys something for the real estate agents to come, chicken and biscuits for breakfast. Then they get in front of the whole real estate office and they come in there and they say, hey man, Hope you enjoy them chicken and biscuits. We're here. We work at the mortgage company. We're so glad that you brought us in this morning. Hope you enjoy that breakfast. And if you ever want to talk about mortgages, come on over here to us. I can't tell you how many times I've seen mortgage people do that. You're a real estate agent. How many times have you seen it? So they buy their way in there with the biscuits, and then they got a perfect opportunity to share a great explanation of service, and they sit there and say, thank you for having me. We work at the mortgage company. We got great rates, good speed, incredible operations. It's funny to me because everybody's got incredible operations, right? That's what they tell everybody. We've got the best operations team in the world. That's what everybody says. And we can line up 15 different mortgage companies that all say the exact same thing. The professional gets in there and says, thank you for having me guys today. Okay, we really believe 3 things at our company. Because of these beliefs, okay, let me tell you why we believe what we believe here at our company. Because of our beliefs, this is what we really do. Now, this is how we do it different than a lot of other companies that have been in here before you brought the biscuits, okay? And here's success stories of people that have said we've worked well with them. Now, if we could do that for you and you believe the same things we do, I'll be standing right over here at the end. I'd love to meet you face to face and talk to you about how we can move forward with each other. That is an explanation of service. Not thank you for having me. You know, I got in the room and it's like, oh, here we go. Boom. When you learn how to deliver this, your closing ratios are going to speed up. Your confidence is going to go up. I'm going to be able to put you in front of anybody, anywhere, at any time. Right? What do you really believe in your coaching business, in your real estate company? Now, I have a personal belief, if I'm coaching these EXP people, or any real estate person, I have a personal belief at some point in your life you're going to look for passive income. I don't know when it is, but it's going to be there. So my personal belief is that when that moment comes, where do you go to find that passive income? I believe every person wants their passive income to exceed their living expenses. At that moment, you are wealthy. Okay? Now, the question is, what's your A to B to get there? And how can I help you do it? And if I can help you do it, am I an asset to you or a liability? I'm an asset because all I'm helping you do is reach your goals. Okay? So this is where the big boys and the big girls play, folks. Right here. World-class explanation of service. Okay? Any questions about this? Does everybody see the importance of it? Okay, if you're on the phones, man, I'm telling you, I can't tell you how important this is. When you're in front of a person, how important this is. Okay, and if you're recruiting people, how important this is. If you're building a team, how important this is. If you're, it just comes down to everything. It literally comes down to everything you do is this explanation of service. This is where your problems are going to come from when you go and line up with people that don't believe the same things you do. All right, let's stop there for a short break. We're gonna break for about 5 or 7 minutes. We're going to come back and do one more session right up until noon, and then we'll take lunch, okay? Good session.